All right. Let's see. Fantastic. Good evening, everyone. Glad to have you guys all on here. My name is Andrew. I'm part of the OnTrajectory team. it's just me. Perfect. Okay, so I see we got some folks. I'm going to start a poll. So if you get a second, take a look. A couple of questions on what's your biggest hope using OnTrajectory, and also just a question how often you might check in on your whole financial picture. I think one of the questions, everybody has a different rhythm of how often that they check in on their finances. So some people check in on a regular basis. Some people spend a little time in between. But as folks are joining, take a minute to jump in there and let us know. As a reminder, this is a 30-minute beginner webinar. So we're going to jump in and we're going to take about 30 minutes to walk through all of kind of getting started on OnTrajectory. And we're also going to make a point to just cover a few key things that are worth looking at. So let's see, we're going to start here at the beginning. That would be good. Cover the 4 kind of key tasks that it takes to get started in OnTrajectory. I don't know, some of you guys, I was kind of looking through earlier, and some folks who are joining us have been OnTrajectory users for a while now. So they've kind of been through some changes and some development work, and hopefully, have seen some value just as we've improved the product. At least we think we have. Done some other work and continue to do work. In fact, we've got some new features that we're getting ready to roll out around stress testing, or kind of putting out different events along the timeline, along your trajectory, to see exactly how you might, how those things might affect your kind of overall financial picture. So that's something that we're working towards. We've also got a whole lot of other things kind of on the roadmap. It's been really exciting this year as the team has started to grow, and we've brought in some other team members, and we're really excited about some of the things that OnTrajectory can do, and also kind of where we're headed. So grateful for you all on the journey with us. As a reminder, if we have some time at the end, we do take Q&A. I am not the deep end expert. That's Tyson for sure. So we do offer some advanced webinars and workshops. I think the next one, don't quote me on it, but it should be, I believe, August 30th on a Saturday. But it's a chance for us to kind of dive into some of the deep functionality of OnTrajectory. So that's coming up. We'll send you guys emails and let you know. We're also working on putting just a calendar of that stuff on the website, so you should be able to see that. But if you want to chat, feel free to put chat. You can talk in the chat. Let me see. I think I don't have it for everyone to chat. That would be, so there you go. Now everyone is available to chat. So if you have any comments or just stuff, as we're going along, feel free to post it in there. Sometimes it's fun. I know 7 o'clock is probably more of an East Coast time. We try to do these a couple of weeks ago. We did one at 9 in the evening to let some West Coast folks jump in. Figured this might be an easier time for East Coasters to jump in. So again, if you have questions specific, or if they pop up along the way, go ahead and put them in the Q&A. It's easier kind of to manage them through the Q&A. And then if you just have comments or some other discussion points, feel free to throw those in the chat. We love to hear from you all. But we're going to go ahead and get started. From the last one we did, one of the things that we're going to do today is really spend the bulk of our time actually in OnTrajectory. So, everything, chat is still disabled. How about that? Weird. It's host to everyone. Let me change who can chat. Attendees can chat with everyone. Sorry about that. I saw everyone, but it was just me sending a message to everyone. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate that. We're going to say, hey, see, I answered that one live right on the air. So thank you for that. Perfect. So what we're going to do is spend a bulk of our time really inside of OnTrajectory, really walking through 4 key tasks. And those 4 key tasks are going to be, getting started, but then verifying our income. We're adding any income items that we have. Secondly, we're going to look at making sure that your accounts are set up correctly, and really kind of splitting out those accounts as necessary. We're going to look at expenses, and talk briefly about how OnTrajectory views expenses and budgeting. And then we're going to hit kind of how to add a major asset, right? Like a home, because those can be a little bit more complicated, but they're really important to kind of see in your overall picture. And then we'll highlight a few things. Most of you guys probably know this, but we have both OnTrajectory Basic, which is always free, and then we have OnTrajectory Unlimited, which kind of comes with a whole suite of other features. And a lot of that stuff really helps you to get a chance to see a broad picture, compare some scenarios, do some other things, some other analysis and stuff that really, as you were trying to get into really understanding your financial picture, there's some powerful tools there. So we're going to do that as we jump in here. So we're gonna start with somebody, and I'm going to switch over to the tool in just a second. But 1986, most popular names in 1986. We're going to assume that our scenario we're working on is somebody who was born in 1986. The most popular names for babies in 1986 were Michael and Jennifer, at least in the U.S. And some major world events. And I think this is, in some ways, these are comforting things to hear. Some ways they're pretty heavy memories, but Chernobyl melted down, the Challenger explosion happened, both tragedies. It's one of those things where, you're in the world today, we got all kinds of stuff going on. And knowing that, those things happen and there are tough events. There was some stock market and market things going on in the mid to late 80s too that were challenging. And then, so some things changed, but some things stay the same. Highest grossing film of that year, just like this year, Top Gun. Like I said, some things change, some things stay the same. Average price of a new home, $110,000 roughly, and gas about 93 cents a gallon. So those things have significantly changed. So I'm going to jump real quick. I'm going to change my screen share to over here, and I'm going to share kind of inside the tool. So you should be able to see now inside the tool OnTrajectory. And this is like when you're just getting started, you see this. And so, like I said, we're going to assume right now this person, 1986, born in 86, current income, actually the kind of median income for somebody born in 1986 right now is about $56,000. We're going to assume that this person saves $200 a month. And we're going to assume kind of that average amount of savings right now is $28,000. So you may be somewhere along the road here. You may be above or below that. No problem. Here's kind of the beauty of, as you're looking at how to use this tool, no matter where you are, this is an opportunity for you to start saving and start seeing your whole trajectory. We're gonna come back here, and in this case, if somebody says, hey, they're married, we can add it here early on, and the reason why we do that is you can see kind of this chance of success that shows up here. Making sure you get all of your income input early is important, but we're going to go ahead and leave that one for inside the tool so you can see how to add an income item. So I'm going to go ahead and update the chart here, and it's going to show you right here a 0% chance of success. Now, don't freak out, okay? That is one of the important things of this is as you're getting a full picture, sometimes it can see some wild swings up and down. So we're going to continue, and we're going to take a look here at getting started. So now we're in OnTrajectory. We have an introductory guide, couple things, income, expenses, and accounts. These are important pieces. We're going to walk through pretty much what those things show you right now. But it's important to note that those are kind of the key ways that you're going to manipulate this whole process: income, expenses, and accounts. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to get started with income. And this little plus button it exists on expenses and accounts. So you're going to be able to hit that plus button. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to assume that we forgot at the beginning to add a spouse's income. we're going to add a spouse income right here. And we're going to say, okay, assume that our spouse makes that same average 56,000. And note here, just kind of keep your eyes on this. Sometimes, you can actually adjust spouse's age in the income item. So you can actually see here and you can adjust. Oh gosh, Tyson showed me this the last time we were looking at it. Edit this. There it is. So you drop down here, edit. So if you're not the same age, it's okay. You can, different ages, you can head it. And you can also highlight when their retirement age is. And, I'm not changing anything specific here, but you can see this is how long you would work. So we're going to go ahead and put an R in here for retirement. And just as a quick note, you can see here retirement age. You can actually change this up top, your retirement age, your spouse's retirement age. We assume 67. Whatever you change that to be, it will be represented here by the letter R. Trajectory end age, that is where your ending comes. That is the end of your life. We assume 90 automatically. You can go up or down from there. This is a global inflation rate. So everything kind of so you don't have to look at whether it's in today's dollars or tomorrow's dollars. It allows you to kind of assume a steady inflation rate. Obviously, right now, things are up and down. One of the things that I'll say, you can kind of highlight this. We won't get into this. This is more advanced stuff, but you can experiment with temporary inflation rate on your expenses, which is kind of what we're experiencing right now. But that's one of the features that we have. Just when you're dealing with a moment right now, like trying to have some financial peace of mind. You're like, oh, how is this going to affect me? So we just changed income, and all we did was we added a spouse's income here. We didn't even add the Social Security, right? So you can go to the ssn.gov and see Social Security details. You can look at that yourself. In fact, it's always kind of a good idea to take a look every so often and see. But at the, for now, we're just looking at it and we say we hit this chance of success percentage. And you can see now we've gone from 0 to 100. Okay, so big swings right here. Part of this has to do with the expenses that we were looking at, right? So when you come into OnTrajectory, we take that basic income that you put, and then we subtract the $200 a month you said you were saving, and we kind of assume that everything else is an expense. We also calculate kind of taxes. We're pretty conservative on the tax number, so you can generally trust what that is. There's some ways to add your taxes in there. Again, that's a little bit more of an advanced webinar feature, but all that to say, you see this go way up because of our expenses, and we didn't really lean into exactly what the expenses are, because we can look here and say, well, the average household expenses for a family is I believe when I looked the other day, it was just shy of about $6,000, I think, on a month. So let's just say we go to 6,000, right? So we adjust our expenses, right? And it goes up. All of a sudden, we see some changes in the numbers. We say our retirement expenses, because usually we kind of run that about 15% down from that. So let's just say 5,500 a month until retirement. So now we've got some numbers here. We kind of run this again. This is our Monte Carlo analysis. And you can see, now this is important for us to remember right now. So this says 96% chance of success. So even though you see a little bit of a potential negative down here, this is a conservative way that we look at this. And to kind of give a really short picture about what a Monte Carlo analysis is we basically take all the history of the stock market and we randomize it every year. And then we throw 500 different versions of that against your current plan, all of your spending and all of your saving assumptions. And we run it all together and we look at it and we go, okay, 96% chance of success means 96 times out of 100. That actually came out above 0, meaning you had some money left over, right, when you die. And so for us, we would say 95% chance of success is pretty strong. And so when you're looking at something like this, you actually have a chance to see kind of that larger picture. So we've added some expenses. Now here's an important piece of this puzzle too. You've got expenses that you're looking at, and right now you say these expenses might be a little bit different. And the way OnTrajectory looks at expenses is two important ways. One is your recurring regular expenses. So if you have a budget and you've already figured out your budget and you've set it, and you said, all right, like let's say that my budget every month is for all of my necessities, the food that I eat, the cable that I pay for, all these recurring, insurance, whatever, the things that are recurring in your financial picture, you want to make sure that they fit in that basic expenses. But there's other things that you may have that have a shorter term or shorter time limit. Maybe it's a car payment, maybe it's even a house payment. I know most mortgages are 30 years, but a house payment eventually ends. And so you want to be able to see when that actually ends. And so one of the things I'll do here is really quickly is add an expense. And so let's just assume a house. So you got a mortgage payment. So we're going to go here and add an expense, and you got a mortgage, and you say, all right, I'm going to add this mortgage payment in. And right here, you can kind of highlight some of the debt information. So you can say, hey, I started with an amount, right? And I starting, say my house was, I think right now, let's say about 350. Okay. And my payment every month, let's say, is about $2,000, right? And my interest rate, we're going to say it's just at 5%. And we're going to go ahead and say, okay. The payment amount 2,000. Let's pull this together. All right. This is the mortgage. Whoops. Sorry about that. That should be. Let me edit this. Did I put? All right, I gotta look. This is. Let me get some of this in here. This looks like we got a little, because I don't have my down payment amount in here. So as we look at this, we're looking at, I'm not going to hit this growth override. Where? Starting age. Okay, there we go. This is our income account type mortgage. All right, let's see here. So we've got it. Okay, we got the end age of our mortgage. This is, and then, sorry, then we have to do this. This is important. We have to subtract this from our basic expenses. So now we're going down to 4,000, right? Because this is not going to always be the case. So you can see we've got a mortgage payment that's going to end at some point versus your basic expenses. So you want to make sure that you eliminate those. And since you won't have that payment ideally in retirement, you can also remove that. And so there you go. Sorry, took me a second. And so when you add in some of these payments here that have end dates, it's important that you have those kind of taken into account and then removed from your basic expenses. So the same thing if you were to go in and add a car payment. We also have some stuff around debt. So if you have credit card debt, works pretty similar. You kind of add in how much you're paying each month. And then you can just go ahead and one of the cool things we have even here is some strategies on how to pay that down. So if you have the OnTrajectory Unlimited account, you can come in here and actually use some debt reduction strategies. It's really for credit card debt. That's kind of what it'll do. There's two types: snowballing and avalanching, and it'll show you how you can adjust your payments. And again, we can do a kind of a more specific, a debt specific, debt reduction specific workshop. So in fact, if that's something that any of you guys are interested in, we'd love to know that. And so we're sitting here and we're looking at now, you know, because your home eventually becomes an asset, you've got your chance of success is going up, right? So you see how you start building, you know, your accounts and your assets here over time. And then in this case, the way that accounts work is we have in our accounts kind of a default investment or savings account. So we said, hey, the starting balance is about $28,000. And we're assuming what OnTrajectory does is it actually pushes all of your leftover cash flow into this account. So if you have a couple of kids, like maybe in this case, you know, if you have a family of 4, maybe this actual basic expenses is, you know, closer to let's say, you know, another $5,000, right? Something like that. Oops. So, you know, you can kind of take some time and explore the way that your family, that your household is actually operating. And you can see this number changes because it's based on how much extra cash flow on top of that $200 a month that you might have. And we're assuming that you're putting it right into a savings account, but you may adjust your spending differently. And so you look at this default savings, and similar to your expenses, if you have like say a 401k with your job and say $25,000 of that is with your 401k. So you add that, and you're gonna, in this case, you're gonna look at this contributions and you're gonna say, hey, I make an annual contribution of a percentage of my main salary, which is 3%, and my employer contributes 3%, right? Based on, say, if this is my account, my base income. So we actually do all the calculations on top of that for you. And we say, great, now you've got money that you're putting in every month. And in this case, like I said, we're going to do the same thing we did with the expenses, and we're going to assume that this is $3,000 now, and that this is a balance of $25,000, right? So you can kind of see how it's going to grow over time. And so you can add a couple of accounts. If you have the unlimited, our unlimited plan has unlimited accounts, unlimited expenses, unlimited incomes. There is a limit to that if you're on our basic free plan. Some people have a lot of accounts, and so it's really helpful to go beyond that. But I just wanted to highlight a couple of those, you know, getting onboarded. Those 3 income, expenses, and accounts are really important to get a good picture of where your finances are taking you. And so just to highlight, I know I don't see any questions in there, but I've gone kind of fast because I know we only have 30 minutes. And but if you do have a question, go ahead and throw it in the chat or throw it in the Q&A. And part of this, just to highlight, like, this is one of the tools that, you know, I think my wife and I, so we started using OnTrajectory and we were looking at everything. And one of the things that's been really good for us is it's allowed us to kind of consolidate the conversations we have on our finances and really saved us some tension, giving us a lot of peace of mind and actually easier conversations around money, because now we can come up with an actual budget, and then go forward. So ending balance, good question, John. That's the end of the year. So given the 3% and the 3% contribution at the end of this year, it'll be about that number. So that's how that works. And then over time, as you can see here on this, on the chart, you can kind of see, let me see, I turn on the tooltip right here. So you can see kind of the growth percentage. So you can see the kind of total value of all of your assets. You can kind of see how it grows along. So that's kind of what that looks like. One of the other things that's really important, so I kind of highlighted while I was talking about kind of budgeting, but optimizing spending. This is a really kind of a cool tool for unlimited subscribers, because you're able to look and say, I want a chance of success of, say, 90, 95%, 80%, 90 or 95 is good. And you can choose an end balance. So like right now, you're looking at, in this case, if all of my expenses, if everything kind of works out the way that, and we actually stick to this plan, we have a really good chance of ending our life with $200,000 in the bank. And we may say, and this is the good case scenario. This also works in reverse if you have a negative balance. But say you're looking at, I just want 50 grand in the bank at the end, right? I can hit optimize spending and it will run that simulation. And it will allow you to see actually what is the difference in your expenses that you can actually kind of look at and make some decisions on what to do with that money. So like I said, in this case, this is a good scenario, positive scenario, which is simulating different versions of expenses and how much more in this case you could spend every month. Obviously, the reverse is true. It really helps you if you have never created a budget and you get in there and your chance of success is significantly lower than what you really wanted it to be. And you're trying to figure out what is that, like, what's the number I just need to hit to kind of grow and have, start building a retirement, a picture. And some of that, may be a little bit more expensive than you think. But like in this case, to achieve a trajectory end balance of 50,000 plus with a chance of success of 95%, you can potentially increase your future expenses by $500 a month. So you can hit optimize and it'll show up right there. It's a little bit confusing because it's like a negative expense, which is kind of an addition. So, but that's the way, just to kind of make the math work. But at the end of the day, you can kind of see this number and go, wow, I can adjust my spending. So maybe I have to decrease that expense by $500 a month. But it's just one of those tools that we think, being able to run all of that math can be really helpful. So you can add it or you can skip for now. But that's one of the, it runs a number of scenarios. There's a lot of powerful math behind OnTrajectory. It's one of the things that has impressed me about it is, I had a retirement calculator with my job, and you can kind of walk through it and it's like, oh, that's really nice. And it helps you kind of get a general picture. But what we do now is we kind of look through here every month. And the other thing is we'll start keeping track of our progress. So if you want, you can link an account with Plaid. Plaid is like an industry standard, secure account linking program. It kind of just picks up the balance. But, a lot of your big banks, they're all in here. So if you want to actually link an institution or even search for one, you can do that. And you can actually start connecting those accounts. So you can it'll just kind of auto update it about once a day. The other thing you can do is you can just go manually each month and look in, or each week, or whatever your rhythm is. But like in this case, if you found that, hey, this was a tougher year for the market, and so you ended up with 25.5 in your account, you can kind of track that. And you can say, in this account, I had $3,000. And I'm actually looking at that and I'm saying, oh, it was actually, I found a few extra odd jobs. And so I actually put that in here and I made, got this up to $4,500, say, right? You can start tracking your progress. And what you'll see is right now, you'll see this little green bar right in here. And that little green, that's your kind of aggregate of your progress, your actual tracked progress. And so over time, you can actually see how your account connects with your projected account, with your calculated balance. That's kind of where your actual progress kind of compares. And it's pretty cool to see over time. A couple times we've gone back and looked, and you're like, man, we've had some dips and then some spikes. And, we stay pretty close to some of the already kind of put in growth assumptions of OnTrajectory. You can also adjust those as well. So I know that's a lot, all coming in at once. I know, coming in hot to some of those questions. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. I hope it's been helpful. I just want to hit two quick things. And like I said, if you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. But I am going to just kind of highlight two kind of quick things for you. I talked a little bit about, this tracking of your progress. But one thing is, have your goals change. So we would just say regularly ask a couple of questions. One, have my goals changed? Are there things that, originally I wanted to have $2 million in the bank by the time I was 55. And then I had a couple of kids and I realized I want to actually spend more on now. And I changed my mind. recognize that your goals can change, or vice versa. Different things happen in life. And so reevaluating your financial goals is important. Secondly, who is part of your financial team? So, some people have advisors, some people have coaches, some people have well-informed parents or friends or relatives. OnTrajectory is honored to be a part of your team. Definitely, please reach out to us. Questions at ontrajectory.com. Put stuff in the help. If there are more questions, we want to be able to respond. We really do. Our heart here is to see people actually find financial peace, financial freedom, to understand where their money's taking them, and to be able to achieve the goals that they have. So make sure that if you need any help or questions, let us know. We're here to help. And then, are my expectations and actual progress aligning? That's kind of what I just showed you. If you keep up with your progress on the regular basis, that's pretty important. And then I see one question jumped in the chat. Just one thing to remember as people are here, making a plan gives you the power to create your future. So make a plan, and then sticking to it will help those dreams come true. So let's see, it is 7:30. Ray has a question. If I have a college savings account and college expenses for my kids, should I add them to my family? And for example, set the start age and end age to those expenses of like 18 to 22. So the answer, kind of the short answer, I would say is yes. Your college savings account, actually, if you're only saving for those few years, then I would say, that you're actually trying to pay down those expenses at that time. So like if you're creating a 529 plan, right, in here, something like this may be something that you're contributing to on a regular basis, right? So you're going to take this, you're going to contribute, say you're going to contribute, $1,000 a year. Well, that's probably not enough. Maybe you're going to contribute, I guess if you're early enough, it might be okay. But say you're going to spend $3,000 a year. And so you're going to contribute that money to it. You can pick 529 plan, like you're not going to probably do it till age 90. So maybe you're going to do it for 10 years. So, for till age 46. And you're going to put that money into the account. The reason why, FYI, for somebody who's, I'm not sharing on OT. Thank you, Ray. I forgot to switch over. So sorry. I have two screens up. I'm all moving fast and I left you behind. My apologies. All right, here we go. All right, you should be able to see it now. The reason, by the way, where we say I'm going to contribute $3,000 a year, but it's only $1,866 is once you run out of income to put to these things, OnTrajectory won't keep adding an income that you don't have. So you have to make sure that kind of your balance sheet makes sense. That's what the difference here. Just so you see that. But you would have your expenses. So say I'm saving for 10 years because my kid's 10 years from college. Then you're right. Then you would go over here and you could add an expense. In this case, you could call it a college payment. And you would be paying that, whatever that, I don't know what that is per month. Say it's $2,000 a month. I don't know. And that started, say, at 46. And went to 50, right? Something like 4 years, right? So then you'd run that in there and you can see how that money would how that would be affected. And again, part of that has to do with the measurement of how much your income can fund that. So you may actually want to go in and switch how much you're contributing here or there, or adjusting your expenses accordingly. So hopefully that answers the question. Ray, I think that should that's how we would recommend doing it. So adding your 529 plan and saving to that 529 plan, and then you would pull that. In fact, I don't want to speak out of turn now that I'm thinking about it. I don't want to group that expense. Source it from this 529 plan too. So you can also kind of pull it directly from, that college payment to source directly from that 529 plan. So that also takes into some of the tax implications. It's already built into the back of the back end of the software. All right, so we have reached 7:30. I know I want to be respectful of everybody's time. You guys have been great. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for hanging out. Let us know again if there's other questions that you might have. Drop those into the chat. We can even come back around and follow up with an email to folks if you have other questions. But thank you guys so much for being a part of this. Again, it is our hope that you would see financial freedom and that you would kind of achieve all the goals that you set out. So let us know how we can help. Again, questions at OnTrajectory. You can find us. A lot of these videos end up on YouTube. We've got, we're continue to add there. We've got Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, or follow us on LinkedIn. Any one of those spaces, we'd love to connect. So thanks again, everybody. We really appreciate it. Thanks for your insight on the poll too. That's pretty great to see and to hear. So thank you all. We'll see you next time here at OnTrajectory.